Racism-ISM by Colin Liddell. It's finally here, the concept you need to stop them whipping you into submission and extinction with the dreaded R word. Listen on. The entire global system of corporate capital is based on one magic little word, racism. This is where the true strength of the R word comes from. By racism, I don't mean anything you do, I simply mean what they accuse you of when you are deemed to be a bad person. To make this distinction clear, I will call the system's reliance on the R word to enforce its globalism by the term Racism-ISM. So, let's look at why Racism-ISM is so important in the age in which we live, and how it is made so powerful. Firstly, without Racism-ISM, people would naturally develop in a more collective and nationalist way. In many cases, this would be along racial, cultural, and even class lines. They would be correspondingly less open to globalism, universalism, and internationalism. Borders, national states, and traditional identities would become important again. It is easy to see how this would cause immediate problems for global corporate capitalism. Once states opt out of globalism, they restrict the flow of labor through limits on immigration. This in turn also highlights the demographic emergency that mass immigration hides. Most of the West is effectively depopulating at a rate of 25% per generation, but this is hidden by mass immigration. Revealing this would inevitably lead to pro-natalist policies, which would severely limit the flow of female labor into the global marketplace. Along with immigration restriction, this would force capital to pay much higher wages. But the global availability of labor is not the only thing affected. Once societies assert national identities, this also leads to direct barriers to capital, which can no longer freely move around the world in search of profits. When societies are nationalized, labor is nationalized, and then capital is nationalized. Of course, by nationalized, I do not mean state-controlled in the sense of socialized, which is how the word is often understood, especially in a British context. I mean that capital has to work within the dominant political system, rather than reducing that political system to its own level of non-human or anti-human abstraction. I hope it is now obvious why the R word is deployed so frequently in our present age, a period that is dominated by global capitalism, and why Racism-ISM is its core ideology. So, next, why is the R word so powerful? This is an apparently difficult question because sane people argue that the word is empty and devoid of true meaning. Yet, at the same time, it seems to have so much power. This is a paradox of Racism-ISM, but the lack of meaning is a design feature, not a bug, as we shall soon see. A good way to demonstrate the absurdity of Racism-ISM is to compare and contrast it with a scaled-down version based on the family. The whole world goes hysterical because someone is racist, but everyone is familyist and nobody loses their mind. Also, try scaling it up. Say, I am a humanist. Nobody froths at the mouth, accusing you of trying to gas all the gorillas and deport the sea anemones to another planet. But we are still left with the enormous power of the R word. So where does it come from? The answer is from exactly the same place that made witch such a potent denunciation in 16th and 17th century Europe, or infidel and kuffar in Muslim countries. From time to time, societies decide on a term that supposedly denotes absolute evil. Then all the organs of the culture are invested in perpetuating that association. Modern societies are even more effective at this, employing a whole host of psychological trickery, Pavlovian conditioning, Wolpian desensitization and aversion therapy, Skinnerist negative reinforcement, and Bandurian modeling, to name but a few, designed to get people to see whichever set of the emperor's new clothes a particular elite group wants them to see. The Soviet Union employed these tricks against the kulak and the bourgeoisie, Nazi Germany against the Jew, post-war America against the commie. Now, our fake democratic societies, which are dominated by globalist elites, employ the exact same array of techniques to associate absolute evil with racism. Those historical demonizations usually strengthen the power structure in those societies. The key for all those elites was to create an ill-defined, non-falsifiable term that could be used indiscriminately on anyone who challenged the power system. Being called a racist by today's racistist globalists simply means that you are an opponent of today's elites with their excessive and toxic power. The fact that their power is toxic and self-destructive also means that you are on the winning side.